Why do I look so disgusting? Ooh, sorry. Hello friends, family. Welcome back to my channel. Darling, you send me. I know you send me. Today, we're doing a bit of a fun video. We are gonna be looking at my old high school books. So, as a recent college graduate, I wanted to revisit some of my old high school books and to relive my youth, yes, and also just like see how I react to these now, or like how different my thoughts and opinions are on this or are on these books. Maybe they're not that different, but we're gonna see. So, just like a lot of the other Western high schools out there, a lot of my books were dominated by dead white men. But my school was trying to be a little bit different. So we have a woman here. We have Caroline Duffy, also white, but she had great things to say. So I don't want to be like a hater and hate on these books just because they're written by dead white men. Or just white people in general. Like, there literally is no mix. My school tried to be a little bit different again, and they threw in a local book. I remember it was Guelo, but also written by an expat white person. So like, but they did try. Like, I feel like that was them trying to push for a little bit. But yeah, like I said, I don't want to be one of those people who just hates on these books purely just because they're written by white people, which is totally unfair, because like I said, like, they do have things of value to say. If you were to ask me where I stand on these books, just as of now, just as an author in general or ideas in general, I don't think it's right to cancel these books, but I definitely don't think that these are the only books that we should be reading, especially in high school. I feel like there needs to be a variety, especially, you know, like, I went to international school in Hong Kong, and I feel like it would have been pretty cool if we read some translation text. I remember we did like a unit on America because my school was a British school. That was like their little sprinkle of diversity. But even then, we only read Steinbeck, which again, he has valuable things to say, but maybe we would have benefited by reading somebody else. I did enjoy some of these books, I remember, so like, not fair to hate on them, not fair to discredit their greatness at all or them being like classics. Yeah, I just think that we need to also have a variety. We need to read from different authors, we need to watch different filmmakers, we need to, I don't know, do different drama pieces, you know? That would be pretty cool. Okay, so the first book we have is The Things They Carried by Tim O'Brien. I still have like the little post-it notes from here, so I'm excited to like see or read what 18-year-old slash 17, 16-year-old Jane's thoughts were on this book. And this is a book about the Vietnam War. It was written by Tim O'Brien. I believe it's some of his own experiences as well. And it's a collection of short stories, I believe. But yeah, I'm excited to read this book. It probably won't be the first one that I read because it is a bit on the serious, dark side because it is dealing with a very heavy topic. But yeah, I will get it done this week. Okay, the next book we have is the different author that my school is trying to throw in there. It is The World's Wife by Caroline Duffy. This is a collection of poems. And I remember really thoroughly enjoying this when I was 17 because there's a lot of Disney references in there. So basically, her poems recenter the female protagonist when the story is a very male-dominant story. So for example, there's Mrs. Midas, Queen Kong, Pygmalion's Bride. I remember one from Beauty and the Beast also, but I could be wrong. I was a very enthusiastic kid. Honestly, I don't even like know what value annotating your book this much has when you can't even see the damn text anymore. But it shows that I was very enthusiastic. You should look at my college books now. That doesn't happen anymore. But also, I remember, I feel like in high school there was this like need to annotate these poems to like fill up the entire damn page to make yourself look educated. excited to read this. I'm probably gonna read this one first because I think this was my favorite in high school. Okay, next we also have a collection of poems, and it is by Seamus Heaney. This collection is The Death of a Naturalist. And to be perfectly honest, I don't remember much of this book. I feel like we read this really close to our mock exams, so then I really wasn't paying much attention. I didn't do the extra reading like I did for Carol Ann Duffy. I really only annotated like 1 poem, 2 poems. I only annotated 2 poems in this collection, and it's the first 2, so. But again, I remember him having a lot of great things to say, a lot of important things to say, so I'm excited to revisit his thoughts. Okay, and the last 2 are plays, and it is Tennessee William, A Streetcar Named Desire. I think we watched the movie for this in class, so I don't even remember reading it that in depth. Like, I know I read it. I have some annotations, like one little baby one. I am excited to read this. My version has Marlon Brando in the front, and it is a classic. There is a lot of like Old South, New South vibes in this one, so I'm excited to start it. Probably not gonna be the first one. Again, I do want to do Carol Ann Duffy first. And next is the one that I think I'm dreading the most, because I dreaded this one in high school too, and that is Henrik Ibsen. We didn't read all 4 major plays. We just read Hedda Gabler. I mean, I still remember Hedda Gabler pretty well though, because it was like a pretty, it was very shocking. It was very shocking. But yeah, excited to read this too. Maybe this will be the second one that I read, because I do remember its story pretty well. I'm excited. I mean, I don't remember the details. I just remember like, you know, the major parts of it. So yeah. Anyways, with that said, let's dive into Carol Ann Duffy. I'm gonna make myself a tea. And it is nighttime because I'm still jet lagged from doing online school for a whole damn year. Okay, I switched shirts again because I also managed to spill something on the other one. But before I get it going, here is my bookshelf. It is horrifying, but I'm gonna organize it eventually. I don't know when I'll get to it, but I will. I am in my jammies. Okay, so I finished The World's Wife, and honestly, I remember really loving this when I was in high school, and I still do, don't get me wrong. I still think it's fantastic, and I love myths, so this is like my jam. Okay, let's just quickly talk about things I liked, things I didn't like. I really liked the transition from beginning to end. So like, it's not a novel in verse, just like Poet X was, but it's a bit like autobiographical. Like I remember the first poem, it's based on Little Red Riding Hood, but it's also based on when Duffy met Adrian Henry, I believe. So Duffy was 16 when she met Adrian Henry, who was 39. And then she wrote Adrian as the wolf, and she was Little Red Riding Hood, or Little Red Cap here. And then they basically meet, and she talks about the reason that kept her was his poetry. So she was kind of like enthralled, or like and like fascinated by Henry essentially because of his words. So there's like a lot of imagery about like oppression and how she ends up finding that independence, but also that finding of independence goes through the whole collection of poems all the way till the end. The only problem I really had with this was that it was quite like man-hating, which I feel like that was me in high school. Like I was like, feminism is about, I don't know why it's my pinky, but feminism is about hating men. And that my friends, is not true. It is definitely not about hating men. Like, we need to include men in the conversation. We don't just say fuck men and think it's good. Like, that is not feminism. That's the first thing from feminism. So yeah, that's my problem with it. It was very much like a fuck men attitude that she took. I do think she has valuable parts in it. For example, like her finding her independence after like the suppression, and also other women finding oppression. And yeah, that is a fuck men moment. But I just wish that the poems like evolved into, or like grew into something else, because I don't think it's productive to have this like fuck men attitude throughout, which was very great in the beginning, and like for a lot, like Pygmalion's Bride, that was fantastic. But I just wish there was like a different, I can't think of it now, it's like so late at night, but I wish there was like a poem that was like about a myth that included men. Like, oh my god, maybe it was like Cupid and Psyche, right? Like how Cupid also helped Psyche. I'm not remembering that myth very well, but like something like that would have been pretty cool, I think. So the next book I'm starting is The Things They Carried. I'm gonna start this now. It's not a super long book. I remember thinking this was like huge when I was in high school. But yeah, I'm gonna start this now. It's 12 a.m. I'm insomnic as shit, so I'm gonna start this book and go to sleep, and probably have a hard time sleeping because this is a pretty sad book. So I'm halfway through The Things They Carried. Really freaking sad so far, but it talks about really interesting things that I will discuss later because I am freaking late. But I got this for Ben, a little fun game. It's his birthday today. I've literally been friends with him since like primary school. Fun fact, he hid my banana pencil case when we were in like the 5th grade, and I used to not like him. We were enemies. But now we are friends. We love to see that. We love to see the growth. I just got these blue light glasses. I think they make me look really cute, really smart, really book smart. I gave this a 4 stars. I think it's a really good book, but I don't think it's gonna be like my favorite book just because of its super dark topic. But it is a collection of short stories. It kind of like, it's not like unrelated. Like at first I thought it was gonna be like short stories about war. That's it. Like it wasn't gonna be something that's somewhat like coherent and related. I think O'Brien describes his journey in this war really well, like how the loss of innocence really tackles, and like we kind of see that all the way from the beginning. We see Jimmy Cross with love as well, for Martha, and how that love had to be deferred because of war, and how a lot of things had to be deferred because of war. And that happened with O'Brien as well. Like he had to kind of put a lot of his personal feelings aside, like for people who died especially as well, especially his friends who passed, and we see that throughout the war, and it doesn't really like hit him, or doesn't really, like his loss of innocence isn't shown until I feel like The Sweetheart of Saint-Trebong, which is a story about Marianne, which is one of the soldiers' girlfriends, I believe. It was Mark Fossey. She was this like perfect, virginal 1960s woman, and then she ends up seeing the terrors of war, and then she doesn't want to marry, doesn't want to be a mother, doesn't want to be like, you know, all of that. And I would usually say that is a very shitty approach of the author. I do understand why O'Brien did this, because I feel like it kind of shows the soldier's loss of innocence. It's just like The Sweetheart of Saint-Trebon was a very like fast-paced version of O'Brien's journey throughout the entire novel. And I feel like O'Brien chose to use a woman because it was like that innocence is like the extreme, like, or Marianne is the extreme representation of that innocence, and also the extreme version of that loss of innocence, right? Because she ends up becoming like this wild woman, folklore woman, like she just kind of disappears into the wild. And I get that. I mean, it is a little bit like 1960s of O'Brien, but yeah, I feel like he does it in a somewhat productive way. Like, I understand why he did that. Right, let's move on. I didn't film this, but I started reading a little bit of Hedda Gabler. I think I'm only like, I'm still on Act 1, so I'm not really through yet. I don't know why, but I find Hedda really funny. Maybe that just shows my character. Like, you know, her little salty comments on Aunt Tessman's hair, or hats, or hair. Oh my god. I don't know why I applaud that. I mean, it's really, really shitty, but I don't know why I applaud it. So there you go. That is who I am.
Every minute spent with you runs around my head as to why I've been changing up your favorite styles. Isn't all that easy, but I don't mind. Why do we keep on strolling forwards up to something? Mine starts feeling numb, but it's alright. We are so far from home, and I don't wanna go back to being all alone. Always looking in the mirror, trying to think of all the places I could be at the moment. Where can I go?
Okay, I finished Hedda Gabler, and honestly, I loved it. Okay, I was honestly going into this play thinking Ibsen was gonna be like super woman hating. Maybe you can argue that he is because of the ending of the play, but it was actually really well written. Like, he was showing all these women, there's Elfstead and Aunt Jewel, or Aunt Tessman, and obviously Hedda Gabler. So it's kind of like Ibsen is showing that there's two possibilities for women, and one is Miss Tesman, who is like more domestic. Then there's Elfstead, who kind of takes charge of her own life as much as she could in the 19th century. And then it also shows how trapped Hedda feels in her relationship, like she feels like she can't do what Elfstead can or could, but she also doesn't want to do what Tessman is doing. I don't think he was trying to show like feminism, because I don't think it really existed, or it was just beginning when he was writing this play. So I don't think it's that, but I think he was trying to show a little something different. But honestly, I liked the play as a whole. Like, I actually enjoyed reading it. Hedda was super salty in the beginning. I loved the beginning. It was so funny. And I don't think Ibsen meant for it to be funny, but now, reading it now, it was pretty hilarious. I've done it. I've read all my high school books in a week, and that pimple is still here. I feel like not only have I documented my completion of rereading my high school books, but also the healing process of my pimple. I didn't really film much of reading Seamus Heaney and starting Streetcar either, because I was so tired. I was so ill from my vaccine. It was really shitty, but now I am fully vaccinated. Proof. Well, this isn't the proof. This is just like shit people post on social media to show that they've got vaccinated, but I got vaccinated. I'm proud of that. That's something that I'm proud of. But I am also proud that I finished my high school books. And like, I think we read these books over the course of like 2 years and studied it. in depth in the course of 2 years, but I finished it in like 1 week, so I'm pretty proud of myself. The first one is The World's Wife by Carol Ann Duffy. 5 stars. I love this. I will reread this. It's so fantastic. And then next is The Things They Carried by Tim O'Brien. Gave this 4 stars. Also really liked it. Really enjoyed it. Kind of sad, so not my favorite, but enjoyed it. I did. Next is Hedda Gabler. 3 stars. Testament was weird. Marriage was weird. Like, if Elfstead was able to do all these cool things, I don't know why Hedda could not just talk to Testament, but maybe that is also a comment on society. Next is Death of a Naturalist. I actually really like this. I remember like not loving it so much in high school, but I think it's just because I didn't really get or I didn't get to read all of the poems. Like, I think we only focused on 3, which was Digging, Death of a Naturalist, and At a Potato Digging. But it's really good. Like, it's nothing that's super pretentious in Seamus Heaney's part. Like, it's not one of those poems that are like a puzzle that you have to solve, basically. There obviously are like literary devices, otherwise we wouldn't have studied this in the IB. The IB would have hated it if it was just a straightforward poem. It's nothing so pretentious. Like, it's pretty obvious to decode. I hesitate to even use the word decode. I feel like it's not even decoding, it's just like understanding Heaney. Because it is something that's autobiographical, or it kind of like marks this coming of age all the way till his marriage. And it's also really easy to read. It's almost like a collection of short stories in a way, but just in like poetry form, right? So it's like it has all the important details and cute little details. So my favorite poem out of his collection, I definitely like Digging. I thought it was placed in a good way, or in a good place, but I'm a sucker for love poems. My favorite was definitely the ones he wrote for Marie. I thought they were really cute. I like Scaffolding most. I'm gonna read it to you because it's like just to show you how kind of simple but beautiful, and not in that like pretentious I'm a poet way, but like still like there's meaning in there, but it's easy to grasp. Masons, when they start upon a building, are careful to test out the scaffolding. Make sure that the planks won't slip at busy points. Secure all ladders, tighten bolted joints. And yet all this comes down when the job's done, showing off walls of sure and solid stone. So if, my dear, there sometimes seems to be old bridges breaking between you and me, never fear. We may let the scaffolds fall, confident that we have built our wall. Alright, A Streetcar Named Desire I finished last night. It is so good. I don't know why I didn't appreciate this more in high school. It discusses like Tennessee Williams is a good ass playwright, a good ass writer, all right? Like, he discusses so many important themes. There's class, there's society, there's gender, all these things he wraps up in like 100 pages or so, and he does it, in my opinion, very, very well. There's so much in there that is really well written, and I think Tennessee Williams is good. If I haven't said enough, he's freaking good. I want to read more of his works now. I never even used to like reading plays, all right? Like, I thought it was so damn boring just reading speech, right? Oh my god, yes. And another thing, his stage descriptions are fantastic. Like, it's phenomenal. Like, the amount of like details he puts in, like, even if it was just like a color, even, like, fantastic. Like, it's so good. So even though it was a play, it read almost like novel-esque. Like, I could picture it as a novel because of the stage descriptions, and it was so clear and so well done. So those are all my high school books. I love them more than I hated them. Like, I thought I was gonna hate them. The only thing I would say to a lot of the high schools out there, just, it's great. These books aren't horrible. That's the thing. Like, they have a lot of important themes to discuss, but add variety. There is like one woman writer in here, and not to mention there's like no people of color whatsoever. None of their voices are heard. Like, they're really just side characters in the majority of these writings. Yeah, that's all I have to say though. But otherwise, great books. I did thoroughly enjoy it quite a lot. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys in my next one.